Make sure you hit a like for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. And if you have not already, make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Let's get to it, ladies and gentlemen. This is money talk. This is money talk. This is what C students do. We talk about money.
We are the Motor City, no doubt about that. Cars, vehicles, it's a way of life. But when you look at the numbers that Edmunds crunched and you look at your pocketbook, you may not be feeling so great about that next purchase.
I just couldn't buy a car. I'd buy a used car. I would have to. Or I'd just keep driving this thing.
That's June Lester's answer to the $1,000 question quite literally. Would you pay $1,000 a month or more for a new car if you had to? Turns out a record number of car buyers are doing just that.
I think I paid $400 a month for, and that was ridiculous. And I'm retired now, not sort of retired, and there's no way. I mean, and I don't even drive. I mean, I've got 20,000 miles on this car, and it's 4 years old. So I couldn't afford that.
Edmunds crunched some numbers for the first quarter of 2023 auto sales and found nearly 17% of buyers shelling out $1,000 or more for a monthly car note, not including the cost of insurance.
Now, let's think about this for a second, fellas. All right? Let's think about this for a second, ladies. Almost one-fifth of everybody that is financing their vehicles. Now, you got to remember that literally 13, 14, 15, 16 million vehicles are sold every single year. That would mean that if you're talking about almost one-fifth of people that are buying vehicles, one-fifth, that means that you're getting into the 2, 3, 4 million people, right? 2, 3, 4, more like 2 to 3 million people every single year are paying a car note of at least $1,000 a month. Now, we're not even getting into the deep diving of exactly what it is that you're paying for, how much of it is going towards interest, how much is going towards principal, whether you're leasing, whether you're buying, how long you're financing it for. They didn't even go into the details yet. I don't know if they're going to go to the details at all. But there's people now that are financing on average cars for 72 months. That is the equivalent of 6 years. 6 years at $1,000 a month just for the car note. Now, the more expensive the car is, the higher the car note. Or I'm sorry, the higher the insurance. So I'll give you an example, right? Currently, I have 4 cars. I got 4 cars. I got the new Porsche Taycan. Actually, it's not new. It's a 2022. It's not 2023. So I got a 2022 Porsche Taycan, ice white. Beautiful. Drive it every single day. 100% electric. I bought my wife a Tesla. So we got the Tesla. And I also got the 2023 Mercedes S-Class, right? Top of the line. With the red interior. Both of my cars and my wife's car is all white. White on white on white, everything. Okay? And then I have a Hyundai Tucson. Okay? That's the personal vehicle. The other vehicles is business related, whatever. Join the Patreon. We'll go into that. But I have 4 cars. My insurance, I believe, comes out automatically. I think my insurance is like $1,200 a month, $1,300 a month, something like that. I pay like $1,200 a month for insurance. Now, it's largely based on how expensive the cars are. It's also based on the technology in the car. And then the technology also meaning that I have 2 fully electric cars, which they cost more to insure, right? So that's just for insurance. That's insurance. Then you got the cars. Then you have the maintenance. And then you also have the different cars that you have to charge up or put gas in. And Michigan and Florida, the two states that I travel to the most are the states that I pay the most for as far as insurance, right? But my point is that I'm paying the equivalent of what, $14,000 almost a year just in insurance, just to have the cars, and I barely even drive those cars. So they paying $1,000 a month. I'm reading Super Chat shortly. I appreciate y'all. Plus insurance, plus maintenance, plus gas and renewal fees.
It's up from a little over 4% just 4 years ago. $1,000 a month, what do you think?
No, I already pay $400 now, and I just think that's astronomical.
Why are these people giving this round number? Everybody just paying $400. Did you know that it's only, I think it's 5 cars in America that's under $20,000 now? That the average car, the average purchase price for a car, I think is eclipsed over $50,000 a year. Don't quote me on that.
So I couldn't imagine paying $1,000. The cost of living has gone up. Rent has gone up. I couldn't imagine adding my $1,000 I already pay for rent on top of a $1,000 car. It just doesn't make sense.
It is, what did the consumer pay for the vehicle? How much did they finance of it? How much did they put down? The term length that was involved. So really, when we roll those numbers together, we look at these trends over time. This last year and a half has seen some staggering increases.
That's Ivan Drury, Edmunds Director of Insights, walking us through the scope of data collected. Why the staggering increases? Well, just like the cost of everything going up these days, he says cars are that much pricier, but consumers are more selective too.
It's kind of mixed results in the sense that, cars are getting more expensive, but consumers' preferences for certain kinds of cars, SUVs and trucks, they're expensive. They're very costly products. And on top of that, when you fully load a car, when you go from base to mid to high trim level, you can add on 30 to 50% of the vehicle's cost. So yes, the entry level price might be $30,000, but if you like the one with the 14-inch touchscreen, you like the sunroof, all-wheel drive, every safety feature available, easily looking at 45 to 50K for that exact same vehicle.
He says many buyers are maximizing the terms of their loans too, a risky move if you're already struggling with your monthly payment.
Reason why people are maximizing the terms of their loans is because people are trying to focus 100% on the payment instead of focusing on how much it's costing them to actually purchase that car, which is, again, one of the dumbest things that you can do. Now, my suggestion to people is don't get caught up trying to impress women like Ebony Williams and trying to put on a front for these chicks. If she rolling with you in a hoopty, then she'll roll with you in a Lambo. If she rolling with you in a hoopty, then that's the chick that you want to roll with in a Lambo. I would also say that very early in your career, let's break down this $100,000 number, right? And I want to add this into the mix for everybody that think that $100,000 is a lot of money. Remember when... Yeah, I am getting a Cybertruck. I got it on order. Remember when last year or the year before, I did a stream and I said that $50,000 was not enough to take care of a family of 4. And everybody said, oh my God, oh, an uproar. And you had 100 different reaction videos to it because everybody was feeling a certain type of way. I can't believe that you're saying $50,000, $40,000, $37,000 a year is not enough to raise a family in 4. What happened to our ancestors? And they did it on chitlins and pig feet. And now, in hindsight, because I'm always right, but you don't get it until 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Then you want to come back and join the bag chasers and saying, okay, I was being a little dusty for a long time. Anton, I didn't like you when I first met you, but I just realized that I'm tired of living paycheck to paycheck. And I broke it down and I said, listen, $50,000 is not enough to be able to raise a family of 4. You got to aspire for higher, or you have to be very, very responsible about not having kids out of wedlock or finding your partner or whatever it is that you need to do is not enough. So let's break down this $100,000 number, okay? Because a lot of people are saying, I'm eclipsing $100,000. That's as though that means any fucking thing to me, right? Congratulations. I think it's great. If you're making money, if you make $70,000, $80,000 a year, I think that you are an awesome human being. But I think that you have to be very, very careful and believing that you're making a bag that then can sustain you or allows for you to go out and buy the same things that I'm buying just because you make $100,000 a year. So let's break it down, okay? Because a lot of people are paying $1,000 car notes. Let's say you paying $1,000 car note, okay? And you make $100,000 a year. Cool. After taxes, you make, depending on where you live, anywhere between $67,000 and $70,000 a year because you are in a 22% tax bracket from a federal perspective. And that has nothing to do with Social Security, state level, and that's why I say depending on where you live. Depending on where you live, it could range anywhere between $67,000 and $71,000 as far as what you take home after taxes off of that $100,000. Now, if you make 80 or 79, then you're in a 12% tax bracket. And this is why it pays to understand how money works. My people perish for the lack of knowledge. The wisdom of how it is that you utilize that information is going to determine whether or not you get rich, you're going to be regular, or you're going to be poor. Okay? 12% tax bracket, 22% tax bracket. It's a huge gap. It's a huge jump. So let's say, for example, you're making $78,000 a year and your boss give you a $4,000 raise, a $5,000 raise. You're actually taking home less money because you're in a 22% tax bracket versus being in a 12% tax bracket. And your boss would have probably did you better for not even giving you a raise. And this is the difference between understanding how money works, understanding the laws, understanding how to finesse the system, and being able to leverage your information in order to continue to run the numbers up. This is the perspective of a C student. But let's bring it back to the reality, right? Let's say you make $100,000 a year and you're taking home 70. Cool. Congratulations. Awesome. Now, in order for you to actually be able to live and survive, because you know that Social Security is not going to sustain you, we recommend over at the Bag Chasers that you max out on your 401k. One of the reasons why we recommend that you maximize on your 401k is because it will actually get you back into that 12% tax bracket. Why? Because the threshold from the federal government is, I believe, $20,500 or $21,500 that you can put into your 401k, which actually lowers your adjusted gross income. Now, what is your adjusted gross income? I'm going to need y'all to go ahead and get your notepads out because Anton is going to give out the game, just on a very basic level. What is your adjusted gross income? Your adjusted gross income is the amount of money that you have to pay taxes on, not how much money you earned. So if you're a business owner, right, and you actually took a loss because you reinvested back into your business or you bought more real estate because the federal government is actually incentivizing businesses and real estate holders in order to continue to make more money and keep more assets in their pocket, right? If you are a person that made at $100,000, but then you maxed out on your 401k, not your Roth 401k, but your 401k, then that means that you now have reduced your tax liability while also putting money inside of your assets that's going to grow significantly. You get back down into that 12% tax bracket. You don't need the money in order to maintain your lifestyle because that $100,000 then puts you back in a $78,500 because you maxed out on your 401k. Yeah. Now we get into the money, but you didn't max out on your 401k. You paid your full taxes. You're not in that 12% tax bracket anymore. You took home $100,000, but let's say you put $15,000 in 2023 is $22,500. Shout out to PJ for giving us that information. $22,500 is that you can put into your 401k based off of the rate of inflation and them raising that numbers up. So let's just say you took home $70,000 and then you put $15,000 into your 401k because you was being responsible. And you need to continue to fund your 401k at the very least. Do the 6% to 8%, whatever it is that you can match because it's free money. But you contributed into your retirement and you put $15,000 into it. Cool. Then that means that you go from $70,000 to $55,000 that you're taking home. $55,000 that you have to live on. You went from $100,000 to $55,000 that you have to live on. Just paying taxes and making sure that you won't die broke. That's it. You own $55,000. So for everybody that tells me, yo, Anton, who you talking to? Why I clips the 100 bands? To me, that's only $55,000. To me, that's only $55,000. Okay? Now, off of that $55,000, you got to pay your mortgage or your rent and your homeowner's insurance or your renter's insurance or whatever it is that you got to do, right? And this ain't even including utilities, food, maintenance, property taxes, none of that. But let's just say it's all encompassing, right? And let's say that the average person is paying somewhere between $1,500 and $2,000 a month, especially if they have a family, because you're going to need more than one bedroom. Okay, Pumpkin? That means if you paying the equivalent, let's just keep it on the low end. Let's say you're paying $1,500 a month, right? $1,500 a month is $18,000 a year. $1,500 a month. Now remember, you grossed $100,000. You paid your taxes. You're not married. You also paid your 401k in order to make sure that you're not broke, right? You now at $55,000, but you had to pay $18,000 and $1,500 either in rent and mortgages, property taxes, the whole 9 yards, right? Your living expenses to have a roof over your head and not be homeless is $18,000 a year. $1,500 a month times 10 is $15,000, and then you add another $3,000 on it because there's 2 months, 12 months in a year, 2 additional months. You add $18,000. So if we doing our mental math, okay, ladies and gentlemen, what is 55 minus 18? Now you at $37,000 left. You went from 55 to 37,000 just in taxes, retirement, and living to have a house over your head. Now you at $37,000. Now let's say you got a $1,000 car note, which doesn't include insurance, which doesn't include maintenance, it don't include gas, right? $1,000 car note is $12,000 a year, which doesn't include anything else on top of that, right? Now you at $25,000 a year. You still got to get gas. You still got to feed yourself. You still got to go out here and trick on these hoes. You still got to put clothes on your back. You still got to pay toothpaste. You got to pay electric. You got to pay consumer's energy, your gas bill, right? You want a new camera. You want to take a flight. You trying to fly these hoes out here. It ain't enough. Now, imagine at 100,000 and that's what you got left. Now imagine, that's just the basics. That ain't nothing else. You can't go and get no candles. You can't do nothing, okay? Your Netflix subscriptions, everything, okay? Now let's say that you have 50,000. You cut it in half. You living below the poverty line, dog. You living below we ain't even took healthcare costs out of your paycheck. We ain't even took healthcare costs out of your paycheck. If you making $50,000 a year, you behind an 8-ball, dog. You need to join the Patreon. You need to tap into the Patreon because you need to level up. You need to get these life hacks. You need to understand how money works. We need to get you popping. We need to start your businesses. We need to help you to level up in corporate America. We need to help you lower your tax burden. We need to give you all of the tricks of the trade that then allows for you to keep more money in your pocket legally, level up, and then you can become the man to actually date Ebony Williams. No? Not at all? Okay. Listen. I love you. I appreciate you. I have these conversations with you every single day because I'm looking to add value into your life. If you found any value, whether it's entertainment value, whether it's the empowerment to then become a better version of yourself by continuing to level up and run that number up. If you're inspired to do more than you did before you started looking at this live stream, if you are a better version of yourself because you are more motivated to do the thing that's in your own best interest or in your child's best interest, because we ain't even talking about putting up money for your kid to go to college. That's another cost. Then I would ask you to make sure you hit a like for the YouTube algorithm. subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications, and please don't run into Victim Olympics, ladies and gentlemen.